We had these 3 plastic bins that we put out with 3 different names that were related to the nuclear industry, one of them being Atom, one of them being Nuke, short for nuclear, and then one of them being Waterford, which is the nuclear power plant that I work at. And we had the employees bring in their donations and put their donations in the bin of the name that they wanted the dog to be named. So that's how we ended up deciding on Nuke, is it had the most donations. It won by a landslide. And so that brings us to today, being able to meet the dog, name the dog, sponsor the adoption for whoever takes that dog home. It was really cool to have people say, like, I can't attend today, but I'm going to bring this stuff. You know, just having that interest was really cool, and getting that interaction between employees, because everyone really wanted to help out.
I'm not making fun of your mind in all ways. If Lisa's turning, why not losing it all yet?
You could count, it's like every stop or stop for 26.
Sitting there, Ida.
That's right. This one's Ida. Come on, girl.
There you go.
Try.
Okay.
Good evening and welcome to the St. Charles Parish Council meeting on Monday, June 3rd, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers in the Parish Courthouse. Please silence all electronic devices and remove all hats. This meeting is called to order with a prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance from Pastor Chris Housewright with Grace Point Church in Destrehan.
Let's pray. Father God, thank you for this place that we all call home. And I pray right now for this meeting as it is being opened up. I pray for the men and women that serve faithfully this community. And God, I pray that you would guide their steps and guide the decisions that they make to best serve the people here of the St. Charles Parish, God. Lord, we love you, and we ask these things now in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Appreciate it. Approval of the minutes. I need a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of May 20th, 2024. I have a motion by Ms. O'Daniels, second by Ms. Jabuye. Please cast your votes. And that motion passes unanimously with Councilwoman Wilson, Councilwoman Skiba, and Councilman Cardell absent this evening. Special proclamations, businesses, canvas returns, etc. 2024-0196, a proclamation, World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Mr. Brouillet.
Thank you, Chairman. Whereas older adults deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. Whereas older adults deserve to be treated with respect and dignity to enable them to serve as leaders, mentors, volunteers, vital participating members of our communities. And whereas in 2006, the International Network for Prevention of Elder Abuse, in support of the United Nations International Plan of Action, proclaimed a day to recognize the significance of elder abuse as a public health and human rights issue. And whereas the National Center of Elder Abuse, NCEA, and St. Charles Parish recognize the importance of taking action to raise awareness, prevent, and address elder abuse. And whereas, as our population lives longer, we are presented with an opportunity to think about our collective needs and future as a nation. Ageism and social isolation are major causes of elder abuse in the United States. Recognizing that it is up to all of us to ensure that proper social structures exist so people can retain community and societal connections, reducing the likelihood of abuse, and whereas preventing abuse of older adults through maintaining and improving social supports like senior centers, human services, and transportation will allow everyone to continue to live as independently as possible and contribute to the life and vibrancy of our communities. Now therefore be it resolved, we, the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the parish president, do hereby proclaim June 15th, 2024 as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. And I believe we have Jeannie Araby and April Keller here to accept.
So on June 15th, remember to wear your purple. That's the color for elder abuse. If anyone needs to call Elderly Protective Service, they need to call 1-833-577-6532 between 8 and 4:30. After that, you call 1-800-44-945-2377. If it seems like a really emergency, just pick up the phone and call 911. We have a lot of that going on. We get a lot of calls, and we have to call Elderly Protective Service and open up a case.
Could you repeat that phone number for the after hours?
Both of them,
Both of them?
please.
Okay, to 8 a.m. to 4:30, it's 1-833-577-6532. After hours, it's 1-844-945-2377. Or pick up the phone and call 911. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. All righty. Next on the list is 2024-0197, proclamation, Juneteenth National Independence Day in St. Charles Parish. Proclamation, whereas Juneteenth National Independence Day, also known as Juneteenth, is a historic day that marks the emancipation of enslaved African Americans in the United States. And whereas Juneteenth is celebrated on June 19th, the date in 1865 when Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, and announced the end of the Civil War and abolition of slavery, 2.5 years after President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. And whereas Juneteenth is a day to honor and celebrate the strength, resilience, and enduring spirit of African Americans, recognizing their significant contributions to the cultural, social, and economic fabric of our community and our nation. And whereas the observation of Juneteenth provides opportunity for reflection, education, and a renewed commitment to achieving equal justice and equality for all people. And whereas the St. Charles Parish is dedicated to fostering an inclusive community that values diversity and the principles of freedom and equality for which Juneteenth stands for. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the parish president, do hereby proclaim June 19, 2024 as Juneteenth National Independence Day in St. Charles Parish, and encourage all residents to join in the commemoration of this important historical event by participating in educational activities, cultural events, and other community celebrations that honor the legacy and the contribution of African Americans. And I believe we have Mr. Lewis Logan and a few other people to accept this. Why don't y'all come on up?
We can scoot in just a little bit. Yes, please.
I don't know, we can see you in action. You guys can press it, yeah.
The right color tonight. Go Tigers.
City Council, to Matt Jules, and to God, of course. I want to thank you all so much for claiming Juneteenth as a holiday for us and for everybody. Really, it's a day that we look forward to celebrate family, to celebrate togetherness, to celebrate our long history of coming together and figuring out a solution to a problem. My first fondest memory of being here in St. Charles Parish was about 6 years ago. With my family, I moved here from Georgia. And it was the first time I experienced a flood. And I looked out, and there was a woman walking through the street with her pants legs up and was pulling all the mess out of the filters, out of the catch basin. Thank you. And I looked, and I was like, what is going on here? And in my heart, it was like, if she can do it, why not me too? So that's when I pulled up my pants legs, took my socks and shoes off, and jumped out and began doing the same thing. And ever since then, my family and a lot of our citizens have taken the initiative to press forward and find solutions to problems. And as council members, we encourage you and look forward to you doing the same thing, to ensuring that if you see problems, please, 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 please advocate for us if we're not advocating for ourselves. And we look forward to working together with you all as we get ready for this year and experience great things. This year, we're going to do a joint effort for Juneteenth along with St. John Parish, and I'm going to have Mr. Cook explain the event. Thank you.
Good evening, council. Good evening, community. Darren Cook, St. John Parish. I'm here today because we have been moving in tandem, which is a beautiful thing. St. John decided to make Juneteenth a holiday, and then right after St. John did it, we went to St. James and St. Charles, and you'll recognize the holiday as well. And so we move in tandem in that way because, again, we are a River Parish community. We are family, pretty much. And so with that, we do celebrate the diversity of our families. We celebrate the freedom of African Americans and the contributions that they made within our river parishes alone, right? And so for that, we want to say thank you all for doing your part in recognizing the diversity as well of our communities. This year, we are gathering in St. John Parish, along with members of the NAACP here in St. Charles, as well as St. James, to celebrate and commemorate this holiday. So we would definitely ask that you all, if you can, join us on June 19th. That's going to be from 3 to 7 p.m. And we do have a flyer that we'll be disseminating, digital flyer that we'll be disseminating to you all shortly. But thank you all again for the opportunity. I'm sorry, 105 West 5th Street. Location is 105 West 5th Street in La Place.
Just wanted to thank you all again. We are stronger as a community together. Just want to make sure that I reiterate that. The community prospers a lot more when we have inclusion of all. So just wanted to say that. Thank you for doing your part and continue doing your part. Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. Next on our agenda, 2024-0198, a proclamation, Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Proclamation. Whereas Alzheimer's disease is a type of brain disease that causes damage to nerve cells in the brain, it is the most common cause of dementia, a general term for memory loss and other cognitive abilities serious enough to interfere with daily life. And whereas Alzheimer's is a progressive disease where dementia symptoms gradually worsen over a number of years, in its early stages, memory loss is mild, but in the late stage, individuals lose their ability to carry on a conversation and respond to their environment. And whereas Alzheimer's is currently ranked as the 6th leading cause of death in the United States, approximately 6.5 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's, and by the year 2050, this number could rise to as high as 13 million. And whereas with early detection and diagnosis, individuals and their families can gain access to treatment medications which may help preserve daily functioning for some time. They can enroll in critical research trials, fully participate in planning for the future, and receive help and support from the Alzheimer's Association. And whereas there is a need to raise awareness about Alzheimer's disease and to promote, and to honor all caregivers who support and care for loved ones suffering with it. Now, therefore, be it resolved, we, the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2024 as Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month in St. Charles Parish, and encourage all citizens to take part in the Longest Day campaign, Thursday, June 20th, 2024, by taking the pledge, by participating through a fundraiser activity of their choice, by either participating at home, online, or in person, to show support for those who have been affected by Alzheimer's disease. And no one is here to accept this tonight, but we will get it to them.
All right, thank you, Ms. Fonseca. Reports, Finance, Administrative Activities, 2024-0199, Department of Emergency Preparedness and Hurricane Preparedness. Mr. Teste.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Parish Council. I'm here tonight to talk to you about some of the activities that the Department of Emergency Preparedness has done over the past year, and also give a brief update on the 2024 hurricane season. So for last year, our EOC log entries, we had 12,675 log entries. And what that is people calling the EOC, and it's actually the calls we had to take action on. So of that, almost 13,000, pretty consistent you see this year. So far, we've had 6,300 of those, so right on par in mid-year to be what we had last year. For unusual events, this is one of our emergency classifications, as you're aware. We have 4 different emergency classification levels, unusual event being the lowest one. We had 228 of those, and we have the breakdown in that graph of industrial, natural, homeland security, drone detections, and then also miscellaneous. Of course, our largest category there would be industrial events that we're getting notified of. Happy to report last year we only had 3 alerts. Number was pretty far down from our normal number. One was a tornado warning, 2 industrial events, and also happy to report that last year we did not have any site area emergencies. That's really a rare thing to go an entire year in the parish without having anything. And really a site area emergency is where you're talking about, start with alert saying that you're taking some sort of protective action, but site area emergency is really when people are being impacted. We did not have any site area emergencies last year. That has not happened here since 2016. Was the last time we had a year with no site area emergency. So really fortunate that we had a quiet year for 2023. Public notifications from us, that's activating our Everbridge system. We issued 85 notifications total for that time period, May 23 to May 24. We count the year and date. We have 5,993 signups that were contacted via text messages, and we also have 3,235 folks who signed up by the website. The reason I want to bring this up is that we only have 49% of households in St. Charles Parish that are signed up for our phone notification. We really want people to start making a transition into this system. I know we've been having it for many years, but try to make a public push. A lot of people rely on the siren system, but you're not getting the full messaging by just hearing a siren blow. You have to go somewhere else to gather that information. If you get the messages on your phone, it's going to give you the protective action that you need to take, and at least some basic general information that we know at the time of emergency. And then if the event goes on and gets further, we'll be able to put out more detailed information. So we really want people to start signing up for that phone system to be able to get a full picture of actually what's going on and not have to go anywhere else to gather that information. And I know it seems like a lot of notifications that we send out, but even if you just turn it on for the nights that we could have those severe weather events and stuff like that, we just ask, give us a chance to warn you on those nights. It's not that many times a year that we're having those tornado warnings and things like that, but we want to, just have people sign up and be able to get that information. So we didn't have a lot of events last year, but it really doesn't slow down activity in the Emergency Operations Center across the street. Here's a list of some of the exercises that we participate in. The highlight of that event, of that list, of course, is our Water for 3 exercise for SCORE. That's a radiological exercise, happens every other year, where FEMA comes in and actually evaluates our response to a nuclear event at the plant. I'd say, again, last year we had no findings from the evaluators, and we successfully completed that exercise. Really, the theme of our exercises is that we really span a broad spectrum of who we participate in exercises with, whether it's industrial, health and medical, our other emergency responders, the other emergency services in the parish. And really, that's so we have a cohesive working group. We're aware of what's going on. We get to meet each other, talk to each other, and build those relationships and that rapport across all emergency services and agencies who we might be responding with during an actual emergency. So really take advantage of those opportunities to participate. And of course, our list, again, we try to do more and more each year, and our list this year is going to be of the exercise that we're having this year is going to be even longer when I present to you next year. Training, as I spoke a couple years ago when I took the director's position, training was one of my top priorities and something I really wanted us to continue doing and even increase. This is the second year in a row that we've had over 4,000 man-hours of training that's taken place in the Emergency Operations Center, and that's tremendous number. We host a lot of different training classes, and then we also go outside to have different training activities. So for us, the benefits of having the training here, it really allows us to pick what trainings we're going to have. We could focus on the things that are important to us here in St. Charles Parish and also to the other emergency responders here as well. I want to say, in addition to all of those good things, we did have one of our emergency coordinators who kind of stepped up last year outside of his job requirements, and he actually went to training in Maryland and then came back and he passed his certification to be certified floodplain manager. So that's something above and beyond his job requirements. So I just want to publicly congratulate George Dugas, Jr., who's one of our emergency coordinators, on doing that. And really what that training does, it really brings that knowledge back to the department. It allows us to go to him for information when we're doing planning and just have him as a resource in there to talk about what the flood maps mean, what's the impact to the public, and what does that mean for us in planning for emergencies. Public speaking, of course, we go out to different groups every year. Last year, along with our public information office, partnered with the school board, we went out to all of the 3rd and 5th grade classes throughout the parish and presented our Charlie and Friends program. That's really it was a program that was developed here in parish. We hand out coloring books and materials to the kids and also just do a presentation. We have a mascot as well that joins that program just to bring that message home on how to prepare for emergencies. It's not geared to any certain emergencies. It's for all hazard preparedness. Something new in our department, and this is kind of premature for me to talk about, but it's something that we're really excited about, something that we're just kind of completing, using data to prepare. And showing you a slide, it has a whole lot of different information on it, but really what you're looking at is all of the weather watches and warnings that have been issued in St. Charles Parish over the last 20 years. So we went back through all of our records and logs, and then also the National Weather Service records, and looked at every single watch and warning that was issued, and then we went to our logs to find out exactly what happened for each one of those watches and warnings. And really what we're trying to do is pare down and get to like what's important for us when we do planning and preparedness, and also speaking to the public. So you hear so many general statements that are being made on news media, local news, whatever it is about what this means, why does it matter. But for us, this is going to give us concrete evidence of, hey, what does it mean for us when we get a flash flood watch? What does it mean for us when we get a warning? How many times are we actually seeing impacts when we go through these events and we're receiving these? I'm saying the data was very eye-opening. We don't have it compiled in a list, but eventually what we want to do is just make those correlations between what does it mean when we get a warning and what is your percentage of chance of being impacted in that, just looking at the reality of what those events mean. So something we're really excited about doing and excited about completing. And we did the same thing with hurricanes. You hear so many general statements being made about hurricanes mean this, El Nino means this. So we went back and did the research our own probably about 7 or 8 years ago. And a lot of those things you could throw out the window and just we get to the reality of, hey, this is what all of those weather situations mean. So really looking forward to what this brings to us in the future. So when we're not having emergencies like we had last year, not a whole lot of emergencies, these are the kind of things that we're working on, data collection and looking at that. So I'll move on and talk about hurricane preparedness. So 2023 season, man, if you wasn't paying attention, you really wouldn't know there was one. Fortunately for us, severely impacted by Ida a couple years ago and really needed the time to recover. We still have recovery activities going on, still have residents doing recovery activities. And we certainly were fortunate to have those couple years without having a hurricane impact or any tropical weather impact to St. Charles Parish, and really not in the Gulf. Looking at the map from last year, the only impact that was had in the Gulf Coast region was really Hurricane Idalia, and then we had a tropical storm that trekked across the Gulf and then went into South Texas. So pretty slow season for us, but that leads into what are we expecting for 2024? Looking at the media, the theme of the year is that it's going to be busy. If you look at the numbers here, Colorado State released their numbers back in May, and they're saying 23 named storms, 11 hurricanes, and 5 major hurricanes. Significant to that is that's the highest numbers that's ever been released by Colorado State University. So they've never made a prediction with that high numbers. The conditions that they're looking at is the Atlantic temperatures right now are on par with what it should be in August. So we already have a warm Atlantic, we have a warm Gulf of Mexico, and they're saying we are actually transitioning into El Nino neutral right now, which historically has been our highest impacted El Nino level here in the parish. So all of those things factored in. It doesn't mean that we're going to get a storm this year. What I use that information for is just ask people to be prepared. We really don't have a lot of things working in our favor throughout the atmosphere going into the 2024 season. So whatever preparations you are putting off, you really need to get on board and get those things, get ready, because it looks that all indicators are pointing until we have a pretty busy August and September. So with that, a couple new products coming from the National Hurricane Center this year. Watches and warnings are going to be able to be issued at any time. So typically for us, that's been only during the major forecast periods at 4 a.m. and 10 a.m., 4 p.m., and 10 p.m. Now the forecast will be able to step up and put those watches and warnings out at any time of day. So that's really going to help, really move things. And with rapid intensification, that's something that they wanted to do when they see that a storm's going to build in strength outside of their normal forecast period, that they could go ahead and put out supplementary information and issue those watches and warnings earlier. The wind radii are going to be extended out to the 5-day, really helpful for decision makers. But prior to this, we've only been able to get the wind radiuses out to 3 days, but now we'll be able to look 5 days out. Forecasting from the Hurricane Center is getting better and better every year. Certainly, I've seen those changes over the last 20-something years and how good they're actually getting. Of course, they're not that close, not close enough for people to be happy with it, but it is getting better. And more products are gonna help us make those decisions. And then hurricane and tropical storm watches are going to be extended inland. This is going to really help for graphics. Right now, when you see a hurricane or tropical storm warning, it's really just an outline on a coastline. It's really hard for people to interpret it. Like, well, I see it. The hurricane warning is touching Plaquemines Parish, but it doesn't come inland of St. Charles Parish. So from now on, they're going to come inland, and if we're under a hurricane warning, St. Charles Parish is going to be outlined in red. And that's really just for communication piece, so where the graphics kind of indicate what the risk is. So another good change and things that we've asked for from the National Hurricane Center. So I'll end with this. This is the names for the 2024 Atlantic Tropical hurricane season. I hope that we don't see any of those or have to respond to any of those in St. Charles Parish. But I'll say for my department and for the parish as a whole, I think after our hurricane exercise last week, we know that we're going into hurricane season the most prepared that St. Charles Parish has ever been, the most experienced that the parish has ever been. So I think we're in a good place. But again, we don't want to have to use those plans and procedures in those activities. So with that, I'll take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Jason. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jason, we really appreciate being invited to the hurricane preparedness meeting. Council always appreciates being included where we can be. I did have a resident email asking if there were going to be any hurricane preparedness meetings for the public.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm doing one for Mr. Daniels coming up. I think the date is the 6th this week, right?
Yeah. Thursday the 6th.
Yeah, so
yes.
Thursday the 6th in St. Rose at the library. I'll be presenting there. But if any special groups want me to come out and talk to them, I'll be happy to do that. I go out to churches or civic groups, civic associations, all of those things. They just get in touch, call the EOC, and we'll get that set up.
Thank you.
Mr. Pillier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jason, I wanted to thank you for that invitation to come to the elected officials and staff. That was excellent. I got a lot out of it. I wrote a lot of things down, too.
Okay.
But I noticed something here earlier on. You have the unusual events, and one jumps out of you, the drones. Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Are those serious threats, or are they just people out there flying drones?
So 99% of those are people who are flying over they shouldn't be flying on, but they actually have permission to do it. So most of our drone detection activities are people just failing to notify. So it's illegal to fly a drone over critical infrastructure. A lot of times that we're getting notifications, it's contractors that are in the site actually doing work because they're supposed to be there doing it. But we do get people who are there who shouldn't be there. Yes.
That's refreshing to hear.
Yeah, and so our procedure with that is we'll dispatch deputies to those drone detections, and then the sheriff's office really takes over from there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jason, I want to thank you. I mean, it's been a pleasure working with you all the years and since you've begun the director. My confidence, I appreciate the outreach efforts. I think that what you do for Ms. O'Daniels and what you're doing, get out there and show people is awesome. So continue to do that, please.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Sure, absolutely. All right.
All right, ordinances, resolutions introduced for publication. Public hearing, Monday, June 17th, 2024, 6 p.m., the council chambers, courthouse in Hanville. 2024-0167, 2024-0202, 2024-0203, 2024-0204, 2024-0205, 2024-0206, 2024-0207. All right, planning and zoning petitions, 2024-0186. An ordinance to amend the St. Charles Parish zoning ordinance of 1981 to change the zoning classification from R1A to R2 on Lot 17, Block K, Magnolia Ridge Park Subdivision, Boothby, as requested by Mr. Landrell Eastman. Mr. Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant's requesting to go from R1A to R2. The department recommended denial, finding the application met only one of the three criteria, and the Planning Commission also recommends denial. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Albert. File number 2024-0186 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0186. And that motion fails unanimously. Ordinance is scheduled for public hearings introduced at a previous meeting. 2024-0181, an ordinance to provide for the installation of all-way stop signs at the intersection of Ellington Avenue and 3rd Street in Ellington, in addition to the town of Luling being a subdivision of a portion of Ellington Plantation. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just speaking on behalf of Councilwoman Skiba, who was contacted by a resident concerned about this intersection in Old Luling. She says this is a very straightforward ordinance. There are 2 perpendicular streets that do not have an existing stop sign, and if there were an accident here, there's really no way to determine who would be at fault, and she asked that we support this ordinance.
Thank you, Ms. Fonseca. File number 2024-0181 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0181. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0182, an ordinance approving the active amendment changing the name of the subdivision dedicated as Heather Oaks Phase 2 to the reserve at Heather Oaks. Mr. Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you stated, the applicant is making this request on volition. We technically have no recommendation on this. The applicant's here to explain it. I can tell you all the paperwork's been processed correctly, and if it's approved, we've prepared it for the parish president's signature.
Thank you, Mr. Albert. File number 2024-0182 is now open for public hearing. If does anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening, Cliff Guidry, 104 South Jefferson, Broussard, 70518. So the purpose of this is just for changing the name is for marketing purposes. I'll give you a backstory. First of all, the restrictions stay the same, the lot size are the same, the price is even the same. It's roughly $100,000 a lot. When this happened, when we did the first phase, we had COVID happen, and we let about 60 people out of the contract because we felt bad because it took us 14 months to get electricity. This is when they had the Entergy issue with the transformers, and we felt bad to hold these people's feet to the fire and force them to close. So we're just trying to breathe fresh air into this development. We think a name change could do something like that, calling it the Reserve. If you drove by Heather Oaks, which I'm sure you did, we're going to change the signage on the second phase, and we're going to add a dividing fence and do a lot more landscaping. So that's really the purpose of doing it. If there's any suggestions or you have builders, buyers, please send them our way. We didn't expect this at all, so we've been going through some hardship. When we had all these lots sold, for the most part, we started phase 2. Had we known that we weren't going to get the transformers and that we were going to let 60 people out, we wouldn't have did phase 2. So now we're in a pickle. That's the truth.
Thank you,
Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. All right, if there's anyone else who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes. All right. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0182. And that motion passes unanimously. All right, 2024-0183, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of change order number 1, final, for the Rathbone Park Development Restroom Facility, project number REC RR 2023, to increase the contract time by 32 days. Mr. Foray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the council. Strictly weather delays and a little backlog on the architectural block that we have chosen. We wanted the same color scheme as we did in Ashton. We were all satisfied with that. So unfortunately, this day and age, this is kind of the climate we're in when you work in construction projects. Happy to say it's not an increase in price, just a little lengthier in time, which was approved by the engineer and supported by our department. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Foray. File number 2024-0183 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. State your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there any council discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0183. And that passes unanimously. 2024-0187, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a joint use agreement with the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development to allow for the construction of the Deputy Jeff J.G. Watson Drive roadway extension, project number P190102, formerly Rue LaCanes Road Extension, and a dog park to be constructed in the future. Mr. Bingham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When we do a project like this where we're going to go under a major highway, such as I-310, we have to get a joint use agreement with the DOTD to build that roadway. We have got plans that are almost complete and ready to go to construction. They are being reviewed by the DOTD as we speak, and we're just looking to make sure we get this joint use agreement in place so that when we're ready to go to construction, we can do so.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bingham. File number 2024-0187 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there any council discussion? Mr. Perrier.
Yes, it looks to me like this. Thank you, Mr. Chair. It looks to me like this ties the Judge Euphrem Parkway over to Ashton. Does that sound correct to you?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that gives you another outlet for both of those particular.
It will actually give both sides the opportunity to make corrections to get out of their location in case of an emergency. For Ashton, they can miss the turn like during rush hour traffic and go that way and get on the interstate much easier. So there's advantages to both sides in having this connection.
Thank you, Mr. Bingham.
All right, is there any further council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0187. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0188, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of change order number 1 for the Primrose Canal Cleaning and Improvements Phase 1A, project number P21002, to increase the contract amount by $166,603.23. Mr. Bingham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On this project, we had a delay in awarding the project, which was not the fault of the contractor. So they requested, and we believe that it is reasonable for them to request, due to the change in steel price, an increase in their price for the steel sheet piles. And this is really at cost on that. So we would appreciate your support of this.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bingham. File number 2024-0188 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? Mr. Perrier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Bingham, the way I computed, it's about a 6% increase in material cost over about a 7-month period of time. Is that kind of where we're going with most of these heavy-duty pieces of iron that we're having to buy? Because this could really portend some bad situations.
Normally, if you go straight into where they can order their product right after they bid it, they can keep their price. The problem here was they had to wait to order the steel, so it became a problem for them. They would have had to, and we would have had to have let them back out of the bid if they wanted to, because it was on our side the delay was. Instead of that, it was easier to go ahead and allow the price increase because they could prove it by quotes from their manufacturer, and we went ahead and think that it's a reasonable
I
cost
guess
increase.
what I'm wondering too is, are we seeing this type of thing possibly in escalation? So we know what we get material for one job, and we go to another sheet piling for a canal.
We have seen an escalation in bid prices, yes.
This is becoming typical?
The price that we're getting now on this project is becoming typical. It's kind of starting to level out a little bit, but we saw a very steep incline in prices.
Thank you.
Is there any further council discussion? So, Mr. Bingham, what we are seeing as these projects are coming, as construction ready kind of things, and we bid this, the sheet piling and the steel prices are going up considerably, right?
Yes, sir, and I would say that it's not just in steel prices, it's in almost everything that we're purchasing. We're seeing an increase in price just due to the inflation that we've seen in our economy.
Thank you, Mr. Bingham. Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0188. And that motion passes unanimously. All righty, 2024-0189, an ordinance to amend the 2024 Consolidated Operating and Capital Budget Amendment Number 1 to add revenues and transfers totaling $37,059, excuse me. My eyes are freaking out here. $37,059,418, an addition of accumulated fund balance of $48,402,463, and expenditures, including transfers totaling $76,376,931 for all government funds for the purpose of adjusting beginning 2024 fund balances across all funds to match ending 2023 final budget balances and to reapply various construction, architectural, engineering, and other fees unexpended in 2023 for parish projects that were not completed during 2023 and apply them to 2024. Mr. Dewson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is our annual rollover amendment, which, as you stated, we are taking all those projects that weren't completed during 2023 and putting them in their same spots for 2024. It's also part of our true-up amendment, where we go through and match our beginning fund balances to our ending fund balances from last year, since we're going through that audit. So that's why you have all those numbers, because we're literally moving every account we have over from last year to this year. I appreciate your support.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Dewson. File number 2024. Excuse me. 2024-0189 is now open for public hearing. If does anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? All right. Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0189. And that passes unanimously.
Thank you.
All right. 2024-0190, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a professional catering services agreement between St. Charles Parish and Blaine Gilliatt Private Chef, LLC, to provide professional catering services at the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center. Mr. Foray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the council. Every so often, we put out these services for bid, and it was due to happen this year. I'm very pleased to announce, as you can see the agenda, that we have a lot more local flair than we have in the past, and we have a lot more diverse options to offer our potential clients. Mr. Guillot gives us the ability to have one of two selected for major events, anything over 200 people. Currently, we have Messina's, who's been with us from the inception of our agreement for catering contracts, and it gives our clients, an option to go with somebody different. He can do all three, small events, concessions, and big events, so I'd ask for your support in this particular
Thank you, Mr. Forey.
ordinance.
Thank you, sir. File number 2024-0191 is now open for public hearing. If you'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none. Any council discussion? Mr. Bruyere.
So the Messina's is still
Yes, ma'am.
contracted?
Yes,
So, so people will have that other option?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
They'll have many more options now, especially after tonight, we approve the next 4 or 5 ordinances.
Okay, so they get to choose whoever.
Yes,
has the
ma'am.
contract.
And they tell us what size party they have and what they're looking for, and then we can roll out a list. Well, here's your options. If we know it's over 200, we know it's basically 2 Messina's and Blaine Guillot LLC.
Okay, all right, thank you for clarification.
Okay.
All right, any further council discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0191. I'm sorry, I apologize on that. Please cast your votes on file number 2024-0190. All right, and that passes unanimously. 2024-0191, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a professional catering services agreement between St. Charles Parish and Bluebird Boards and More, LLC, to provide professional catering services at the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center. Mr. Forey.
Again, another local business located in Norco, Louisiana. This is a real good one because this provides a lot of diverse options: cheese boards, charcuterie trays, Cajun boards, hummus boards. So if you were to have a small meeting or small engagement party, this would be an option also. So I'd ask for your support.
Thank you, Ms. Forey. File number 2024-0191 is open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0191. And that motion is passed. 2024-0192, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a professional catering service agreement between St. Charles Parish and Doretta's Catering, LLC, to provide professional catering services at Edward A. Dufresne Community Center. Mr. Forey.
Again, another local option: concession stands and small events. They will be able to handle, so I'd ask for your support also.
Thank you, Mr. Forey. File number 2024-0192 is open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0192. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0193, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a professional catering service agreement between St. Charles Parish and J. Flem Catering Services, LLC, to provide professional catering services at the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center. Mr. Forey.
Again, small caterer, capable of doing concession stands and small events at our center. Currently owns a restaurant on Paul Mallard Road. Another local option.
Thank you, Mr. Forey.
Thank you.
File number 2024-0193 is open for public hearing. Does anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, our public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0193. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0194, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a professional catering service agreement between St. Charles Parish and Chanel Seafood, thank you, LLC, to provide professional catering services at the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center. Mr. Forey.
All right, another local option, concession, small events, and I hope you see that we've tried real hard to involve our local caterers in our process, and for the first time since we've been open 11 years, we have really got a great response. So kudos to Anidra for getting those people to come to the building, look at what we offer, and how we facilitate any private events and any questions they needed answered. So I'd ask for your support in this too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Forey. File number 2024-0194 is open for public hearing. Does anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, our public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0194.
Thank you.
And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0195, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of Amendment Number 2 to Ordinance Number 2110-2, which approved the professional services agreement with Richard C. Lambert Consultants, LLC, for engineering services for the Barber Road Bank Stabilization, project number P210702. The amendment moves remaining resident inspection fees to construction management fees in the amount of $24,630.75. Mr. Bingham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This amendment is for, we had a lot of unknown underground services, utilities on this project that were not identified during the survey or during the engineering part of the project, even though the engineer did their job in requesting people to go out and mark their services. So they had a lot of extra work during the construction to resolve those conflicts. And this is taking what money we had left in the resident inspection and moving it to the construction management to pay for those extra services. And we would appreciate your support.
Thank you, Mr. Bingham. File number 2024-0195 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, our public hearing is closed. Is there any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0195. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0200, a resolution authorizing the St. Charles Parish President to send certification to GOSEP waiving any land use regulations relative to permitting for temporary housing and shelter assistance during declared emergencies. Mr. Tested.
Yeah, so this resolution is something, this is going to be the third year that we bring it in front of the council. And what it's saying is that if we do have a disaster where they're going to bring in campers like they did post-Ida, that we're going to not have to go through normal planning and zoning procedures, and we'll just let people who could put the trailers in their own yards, who have space for them, that we'll just allow GOSEP to come in and drop those trailers. Of course, people who don't fit that criteria will have to go through other means or other processes. But for that first wave of trailers, it just opening the doors and saying, come on in and do it, is where we are.
Thank you, Mr. Tested. File number 2024-0200 is open for public comment. Is there anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right. Seeing none, the public comment is closed. Any council discussion? Mr. Pillier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jason, this doesn't apply to the FEMA type camps. Just want to make sure that people understand that.
Totally separate. This was like the Ida shelter program, and look, it was a huge benefit to us post-Ida. And the state was able to get approval from that based on a COVID situation. It was called non-congregate sheltering. We got word just 2 weeks ago from the new administration that they plan on continuing this under different agreements that they have with FEMA. The state's going to house trailers. They're keeping trailers, so they're going to be a cache of trailers that remain warehoused in the state for a fast response. And then they also open the contracts if they need to bring in additional trailers after a disaster. So.
Thank you.
All right. Any further council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0200. All right, that motion passes unanimously. Appointments. 2024-0180, a resolution appointing an ad hoc member with a health professional background to the Board of Directors for the Ark of St. Charles. The council chairman will accept nominations to the Board of Directors of the Ark of St. Charles, ad hoc member with health professional background to fill the vacancy caused by the expiration of the term of Dr. Jeffrey S. Quo, M.D., a two-year term to begin July 1st, 2024, and expire June 30th, 2026. Dr. Quo has served 2 consecutive terms and cannot be reappointed according to the Ark of St. Charles bylaws. However, on May 13, 2024, the ARC board members approved for any 2023-2024 board members whose term of office is due to expire June 30, 2024, be extended for up to 1 additional 2-year term. I need a nomination. Ms. Fonseca.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Dr. Jeffrey S. Quo, MD.
All righty. A motion and a second is needed to close the nominations. I have a motion by Mr. Bruyere, second by Mr. Pillier. Please cast your votes to close nominations. And that motion passes unanimously. Okay, meetings, announcements, notices, etc. Meetings. The Lafourche Basin Levee District, Wednesday, June 5th, 2024, 6 p.m., Lafourche Basin Levee District Office, 21380 Highway 20 in Vacherie. The Planning and Zoning Commission, Thursday, June 6th, 2024, 6 p.m. in the council chambers. The Communication District, 911, Monday, June 10th, 2024, at 5 p.m. in the council chambers. The Civil Service Board, Tuesday, June 11th, 2024, 6:30 in the council chambers. The Community Action Advisory Board, Wednesday, June 12th, 2024, 5 p.m. council chambers. The Pontchartrain Levee District, Monday, June 17th, 6 p.m., June 17th, 2024, 6 p.m. at the Pontchartrain Levee District Headquarters Complex, 2069 Railroad Avenue, Lutcher. St. Charles Parish Council, Monday, June 17, 2024, at 6 p.m. in the council chambers. Special matters to be considered by the council. 2024-0184, a resolution appointing an official journal to serve the Parish Council of St. Charles for the period of June 2024 through June 2025. File number 2024-0184 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and address and speak regarding this item, please do so. Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Get to open this up. St. Charles Parish Council, the St. Charles Parish Guide hereby offers a firm rate for providing the advertising services as your official journal for 12 months beginning July 1st, 2024. The rates are as follows: 2.96 $2.96 per column inch for advertising. The newspaper must set into type. $2.46 per column inch for advertising. The newspaper can scan. These rates comply with the maximum $6 per 100-word rate set forth by the law of the state of Louisiana for official journals. It has been a pleasure to serve as your official journal, and we look forward to an opportunity to continue our relationship. Jonathan Maynard, publisher, St. Charles Herald. If anyone would like to come up, I'm sorry. All right, so seeing none, public comment is now closed. Is there any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes to confirm the appointment of the St. Charles Herald Guide as the official journal of St. Charles Parish. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0201, calendar of official action for the 2025 budget. Set public hearing dates. Mr. Dewson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now that we have the 2024 budget where we want it, it's time to start on the 2025 budget. So the dates are set or are expected to be set for October 29th at 9 a.m., which is a Tuesday, October 31st at 1 p.m., which is a Thursday, and then November 4th at 6 p.m., which is a Monday.
Thank you, Mr. Dewson. File number 2024-0201 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, the public comment is closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes to accept the calendar of official action for the 2025 budget. And that motion passes unanimously. Adjournment. I need a motion and a second to adjourn. I have a motion by Mr. O'Daniel, second by Mr. Perrier. Please cast your votes to adjourn. And that motion passes unanimously. On behalf of the Parish Council, I wish everyone a happy Father's Day. Have a great evening. We're officially adjourned.